All right, we are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us, talking about elder care law. The questions, we've got the monitor up there now. The number on the screen, 737-7587. This is not the former Titans running back, Chris Johnson. But this is Chris Johnson with Takacs and McGinnis, Tim Takacs and Barbara McGinnis on the show. And he's a lawyer there now that has joined their practice and joining us this morning. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
We're talking about all different things. We're getting into power of attorney, wills, any questions you may have. Let's go to Ronnie first this morning. We got our lines up and running. Good morning, Ronnie.
Good morning.
Hey, how can we help you, my friend?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
I heard I could be wrong, but I heard him say about people that come in and help senior citizens and stuff like that. Some of them ain't good. Senior citizens, people come in and helped us, and we got robbed, and then they lied on us and everything.
Now, I'm just curious. I've heard of this. I mean, there's all kinds of folks that target seniors. So what happened? Was this an organization? Was it what were you getting? What kind of services were you trying to get?
Well, some people come in to clean house and stuff like that, and they stole our identity and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then we had one service when my wife was disabled. For a short time, they come in and lied on us and stuff like that, and police come in, searched our house and stuff like that, and said we're dope dealers and stuff. And I don't trust none of them anymore.
I hear you. I think what you're touching on there, maybe, and you can speak to this, is the sad fact is in the news business, I see it every day. There's scumbags out there that target seniors. Okay, oftentimes seniors who maybe can be easily intimidated, maybe, aren't fully thinking clearly, or are trusting people and good people, believe the best in folks, and they get taken. And I worry about that with my folks. I mean, that's got to be part of what some people come to you about and saying, look, I worry about my family getting taken.
Absolutely. I've lost count of the number of people who come in concerned about this scam or that scam. And the scams are very real. I recently, during the last tax season, I had a voicemail from a 202 area code, which is Washington, D.C., claiming to be the IRS. Yep. And saying it's a fraud alert, and we're coming after you, and of course you call back the number, and it's just some guy trying to extort money. And for people who are uncertain, or they're afraid, hey, maybe my identity's been stolen, they don't know what to do next. They don't know how to deal with that. And so the first thing I always say is, when it comes to these scams, when you invite someone in your home, do the background check, get online. The one nice thing about our technological society, or I guess one of many nice things, is, boy, we have so much information at our fingertips. So you can get on Google, look at the organization that's coming in, and I always look at two different reviews. I look at the reviews of customers who have hired that business, and you can usually find that under Google reviews or something else. But then I'll go to a company like Glassdoor or something that tells you how the employees rate their own company, and it's interesting to get that from the inside. And you'll see, oh, this is a great place to work, these are wonderful people, and sometimes you'll see these people are crooks. And then you can say, maybe that's a business that I don't want to invite those people into my home and invite for the help. And then if someone calls, the Facebook scam is one of the big ones now, where people will look up their relatives and then call the grandparent pretending to be a grandchild, saying, I'm in trouble and I need money.
That happens all the time. I just saw something on that on the CBS Evening News. We've had local cases of this. And the thing is, my father was targeted by this and almost taken in. Now, 20 years ago, not a chance is it getting it.
Absolutely.
But 20 years later now, where he's a little more disengaged, not aware, like you said, of how much information people can get off the internet. I mean, he was thinking to himself, well, how the heck do they know my grandson's name is Huey and his age and all that? They must be legit.
That's right.
And it's because my father is not, I mean, I'm not savvy online, but he really isn't. I mean, that guy, if he had his way, would still be on a manual typewriter. So, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying.
So the point on that is, yeah, just not trust. As a senior, that's where you got to monitor them, but they can't trust anyone, and yet they're some of the most trusting people out there.
They are, and what I always tell them is you have to go to the people that you trust, and that's your family. Right. So if you have one family member, it's always verify. When they call and say, I'm in jail and I need bail money, the first thing I always tell, and the grandparents get a laugh usually when the clients, I'm explaining this to them, is if they're in jail, you might not like it if it's true, but they're safe. They're getting 3 meals.
Great point.
They've got shelter, and you have time to call your son or daughter and say, "Hey, is so and so in jail? Is this real?"
That's what my
you
dad
can
did.
always verify. Bingo. And
That's
that
it.
makes
he
the difference.
He almost wired money, and he thought, "Well, I'm just going to call Nick and see if he knows what's going on down there." And of course, my jaw dropped.
Oh,
and I'm thinking, and on the other side of the line, I'm thinking, this is my dad who 10 years ago never would have fallen for this, and he's fallen for it almost. But no, he didn't. He called me, thank you. And then when the sad thing is, and my dad's still pretty darn lucid,
right.
But when I told him about it, the embarrassment they feel.
Oh, it doesn't feel good.
And I was very nice about it. I go, "Dad, no, you don't worry. Huey's okay. This must be a scam artist." And there was just silence on the other end of the line. And he goes, "Oh." And you could just tell he was heartbroken that he almost fell for it.
Yep. And the thing that I would emphasize with him on that is because I know that feeling of embarrassment, and that feeling of embarrassment makes people not want to call the next time because they don't want to embarrass themselves.
I think people are
again.
taking that we don't hear about, don't report it because they're embarrassed.
Oh,
that
I think that all the time. And the most important thing is say, listen, it's not hard to do that anymore. It really is a confidence scam because they know they have so much personal information on you already. The first thing when someone calls the phone and says there's someone that you know or someone that you expect to be able to trust, your guard is immediately let down. You're not critically thinking at that point because you're thinking, I'm already speaking to a family member. And so that's not their fault. It's social engineering. The ploy is designed to get those guards down immediately. So luckily he didn't fall for anything, and he did the right thing. Verify, verify, verify.
Verify, and don't fall for it, because if you do, I mean, you never, ever get the money back. These people, and again, there's, I just figure catch them, lock them up, and lose the key, because they're the scum of the earth, the people that prey on folks like this. No tolerance for that. I think they're the worst. Let's go to Cindy next. Cindy, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Cindy.
Anyway, what I was going to say about elder care and law.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, when you see all the issues that are happening, because your family, actually your mother and father, they're older than their prior husband and their wives. My father was years older than his wife, and my mother was way older for her husband. Oh. And I got to tell you, Nick, you broke my heart when I told you that when my mother had passed away and my father, and I'd done everything on God's earth and asked over and over and over. I was willing to pay for my dad and mother's funeral.
Yeah.
You know what? But I got shut out. You know, and when I got shut out, I always gotten shut out.
Why? I wonder why were you shut out? Was it?
I got older, okay? And let me tell you, their last wishes, and I begged them to go ahead, sign the documents, let's have the funeral arranged, and on how you want it, and I'll pay for it. And I'm ready to pay.
All right, I want to, and she gets emotional, and Cindy's such a good woman. She obviously loved her parents. Absolutely. And I think I'm really glad she brought up this point and what she's gone through here in terms of, is that part of what you guys will sit down with the family in terms of planning down the road, addressing the issues of end of life?
Absolutely, and it is such a critical issue, and I always say that planning cures so many ills.
It sounds like she tried to, and I don't know the rest of the details specifically on why she wasn't able to, but she tried to. When you talk about the details, so how do you get this all, you get them to sign off, you get with maybe a funeral home ahead of the time, and you make sure you're clear on whether they want to be cremated, buried, donated to science? I don't know.
Well, and so prepaid burials, prepaid funerals are very much a thing that you can do, and it's a wise planning tool for looking for public benefits. It's something that's allowable for Medicaid spend down.
Oh, is it?
And
is
so
that right?
It is, and so it makes a big difference. And more importantly, the earlier you lock that in, the less chance there's going to be an argument, because the younger that you are when you put in your wishes, the more likely that people are not going to challenge them because they knew that you were lucid, they knew that you were competent. I have a bad feeling that mom and dad were probably very old, and maybe they weren't clear on what their wishes were.
And it sounds like she said they were both married to younger, new second spouses.
That's right.
And maybe that's how she got closed out by the younger spouses. I don't know if that's the case. But yeah, and sometimes that may happen.
That's right.
You know, the new wife or husband could get in the way of all that, I guess.
And the elder needs to advocate for themselves as well. They need to make sure they need to say to everyone, these are my wishes, because when you make your wishes clear, at the end of the day, you prevent a fight amongst the kids, because the kids all know this is what mom or dad wanted, and now that we know that, our job is here to make sure that their wishes are honored and respected, and getting that in ahead of time and making sure everyone knows and everyone's on the same page. And that isn't always an easy conversation. No one likes to really talk about these things sometimes.
No.
It's tough to talk about end-of-life planning, and they can be difficult, but it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, because not only does it give you some peace of mind for yourself on what's going to happen to you, I think you're doing a big favor for your family.
Oh, absolutely.
Just like what you said. I think it's more, really, to be honest with you, for them. I mean, after all, you're gone, and they're left holding the bag and having to deal with it, and they're heartbroken with your loss. If you can have everything kind of set up for them, I think it takes a lot of the stress off.
And it comes back to what we talked about right at the beginning. It's having a plan. All of these things are predictable events. We can't predict the time and place, but the one thing we can predict is this will happen. You are going to go through some sort of end-of-life event, and whether it's a long, prolonged illness or whether it's short, but there will be a burial, there will be a funeral, there will be decisions that have to be made, and the children are going to have to step up. And having that plan in place and having the children briefed on what the plan is and understanding what their role is, if everyone has a role to play and everyone understands what it is, it goes better.
I gotcha. All right, let's see. Lines are open if you want to join us, 737-7587. Let's take another call before we go to the break, and we will go to Lou. Good morning, Lou.
Good morning.
Hi, how can we help you, ma'am?
Well, I wanted to maybe have people to think twice about getting a reverse mortgage.
Okay.
One of my elderly friends decided to do this because of all the ads, and it seems like such a wonderful thing. She wanted to do a little house repair, and they said they would pay off her loan. So she got that, did a repair, and then she told me it was as if they were just sending mail all the time that she had to fill out, yes, I've paid my taxes, yes, I have insurance, yes, I'm in the home, constantly. And then, and you know, at her age, she didn't need all of this worry. And then she had some physical problems, had to have extensive rehab, and she found out she could only be away from her home for 3 months before they called in the loan. And so that is what started happening to her, and you know, she followed it, and this is evidently their rules, and she needed a lawyer to intervene on that.
Okay, yeah. And so you're saying that, all right, I think your point is that they can be problematic, right? So she had a tough time with it. Maybe. All right, hang on. And Lou, I'm going to cut us for the moment here because we have to go to break. Just before we go to break, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Just in a nutshell, before we go into the pros and cons of a reverse mortgage, which I've talked about with Tim, real quick, as we go to the break, and we'll address her question when we come back, can you really quickly just give someone a quick thumbnail on what a reverse mortgage is, how it works?
So a reverse mortgage is where you provide a title essentially to your house is going to be transferred to this company, and they are going to purchase it over time, but effectively you are retaining the right to reside in that home until you pass on, and you will receive regular payments. So instead of you paying a mortgage for the home, it's like them almost buying the home from you. That is it in a nutshell.
That's a good way to put it. They're kind of meaning that this person will be getting money from them, but at the time when they pass, if the home is not totally, if you haven't collected all the money on the value of the home, how does that work? The company gets to reimburse itself.
It'll be in the contract, and there will be a way for the company to settle up.
Okay, in a nutshell, and that one, I put them on the spot real quick, but when we come back, we'll hit on why it's good for some and maybe not for others.
Exactly.
It's case by case. We'll take a break. Be back with more on that and more of your calls. If you're on hold, stay there. We've got a few lines open. Again, talking, as you see, elder care law questions. And Chris Johnson with us this morning from Takacs, McGinnis. We'll be back right after this.